Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Jammin on the Tao with myself, Mark, and
Adam.
Adam. What's up, my man? We are going to be talking about the Tao Te Ching. Today, we are going to be reading number 12. It's a short one,
Hmm.
but it's a good one. We're going to go through a couple of different translations and see where the Tao takes us. So I'm going to jump right on in and I'm going to read this from what I have here is translated by David Hinton. And David Hinton has to say for number 12, the five colors blind eyes, the five tones deafen ears, the five tastes blur tongues. Fast horses and breathtaking hunts make minds wild and crazy. Things rare and expensive make people lose their way. That's why a sage tends to the belly, not the eye, always ignores that and chooses this.
Hmm.
Love it, love it, love it. I have another
Hmm.
quick translation here from Jia Fu Feng and Jane English, and it's very similar, but it says at the end here, racing and hunting madden the mind. Precious
Hmm.
things lead one astray.
Hmm.
Therefore, the sage is guided by what he feels, not by what he sees. He lets go of that and chooses this.
Hmm.
So, same kind of imagery, just slightly different
Yeah.
language there.
Yeah. The only thing I wanted to add from the Ursula Le Guin translation I'm
Yeah, go
looking at
for
is
it.
she has this cute phrase here where it says, "Trying to get rich ties people in knots." To kind of
Mhm.
in that middle section, I feel like that's a really nice imagery where it's like
Trying to get rich ties people.
ties people in knots. It kind of I like that one that talks about like the how rare and like cool like expensive things like get people all like they make the mind crazy, right? I can kind of see that contradictions too with some person like, oh, but this is really rare. I want this, but oh, but this might be higher status. Oh, and like I
Mhm.
kind of picture this twisting in knots trying to get the next cool shiny thing, right?
Yeah, and to me that speaks to A, greed and B, vanity, right? There's
Yeah,
two two very big things in
for
this
sure.
world that hold people down, but there's such this draw and connection, magnetism to this stuff for a lot of people
Yeah.
that especially in the art world or like in what kind of house you live in, all the materialistic kind of things where people want more
Yeah.
and more and more. It's like once you get hooked on that, which really is like an addiction in a lot of
Yeah,
ways,
it is.
you can't let go of that. You can't,
Yeah,
it spirals out of control
it does.
and it's never enough. It's
Never.
never enough.
And like, I'm so sorry for this for you and the viewers, but like for some
Uh-oh.
reason, like the way my mind works, I just got this like mental picture of this very like weird archetype in my mind. It's just like online shopping, like, ooh, I need that, I need this, I need
Hmm.
that. Like, right, like this idea of like I need this. There's something that I just saw on my little scrying mirror that I just halfway across the world that I must have.
Well, and
I
that's the
must
crazy
have
thing
it.
is that it's so accessible now. So,
Yeah, that, yeah,
this mentality has been around for ages,
yeah.
from royalty to lesser
Oh
than.
yeah,
There's this idea of this or that, the haves and the have-nots. But
sure.
now it's like the accessibility of online shopping and
Oh
being
yeah.
able to purchase things with the click of a button.
Clicking.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
alive.
it is frightening to think about all that. And like, you mentioned like the greed, right? And the sort of like envy and status symbol too. The other thing I want to talk about is just like literally like stimuli overload, sensory overload that this age is so like it's so predominant, right?
Yeah.
Like we mentioned the ease of technology. I mean, you think about especially we're in America, right? Like our entire economy and culture seems to be driven around consumerism and entertainment. Like, let's just lull you into constant sensory overload so that you're
Mhm.
buying shit or consuming stuff,
Yep.
whether that's entertainment or like things. And it's just like it's never ending and it's an assault on the senses. And like you said, this has always been a human challenge, but it's just a whole other level
It's in
now.
the extreme level now,
It
right?
is.
It's like you
I
can't turn it off.
no, you can't. And it's funny, like as soon as I saw this, I was like already was thinking about the chariot metaphor in the Upanishad. And
Mm.
so for those who aren't familiar, it's a really cool thing to check out. Katha Upanishad, this little boy actually goes down to the underworld and talks to Death, and Death teaches him all these secret wisdom. But Death offers this metaphor where he was like, the wise can think of the senses, the five senses, as like five horses that are pulling this chariot, which is the
Mm,
body. And that
mhm,
the mind is like the reins of those horses, and at the reins is the intellect, is what they call it in that system, right? That they think the intellect should be driving the chariot, and the lord of the chariot, the one who's actually hired this chariot, is like more like the soul, the Atman in
mhm.
that language. I like how this kind of brings us to, like, it says the belly, right? So it kind of, instead of like the intellect, it's kind of more driving towards like that intuitive
The
faculty
gut.
within the gut, that intuition that sort of knows, like, okay, yes, there's like all this wonderful, exciting material in front of me, sense objects, right? And my senses are pulling me towards this sense object and this one and that one. But there's this part of this intuitive faculty, this inner faculty, this discriminating faculty, which again, I like how the Taoist tradition is more on the gut versus like it's just like happening in the mind. Like what's, because I feel like the mind is like back then it might have been cool to bring attention more to mind, but now I feel like people are overloaded with mind, mind, mind. I like this idea that the Taoist perspective is bringing us to our gut. Like what really feels like it actually resonates with you
Yeah.
or actually is like needed in this moment and not just something that's wowing your senses, right?
Yeah, the
Oof.
sensors are tricky because we have those five basic ones, right? The sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. And those are all very important for our sensory
Hmm.
inputs, but
Hmm.
also very limiting to think that that's all we have. There's obviously talk about the sixth sense, but there's
Hmm.
so many other senses that we have that we can often ignore. And that would be
Yes.
intuition's a big one, right? The gut,
Yes.
emotions are a big one, and they're all tied
Yes.
together. And so when you talk about the mind, uh, often we think about the mind up here in the brain, but
Yeah. It's everywhere.
not only in the more mystical arena, but even in the realm of science, that it's kind of changing that the mind is not in the brain. The brain's
Yeah.
more of like a computer, for lack
Or a
of a better
transducer.
term.
Yeah.
Yeah, a transmitter. And the mind is more in the heart space in a lot of ways, or in the gut. And even modern science has found the same kind of neurotransmitters that we find in the brain in the heart and in the gut. Same kind of
Mhm.
mechanisms in our physical body to help us think and think about it. Our heart is associated with emotions often, but even in I'd say the Chinese medicine world, the heart is associated, the heart space, heart chakra, middle dantian, that's associated with the intellect as well. And we
Mm.
call that in the Qigong world, we talk about the dantians, which are like the elixir fields, and that middle one is referred to as the heart mind elixir field.
Mhm.
Up here is referred to as the spirit elixir field. So the brain space, the upper chakras, are more associated with that spiritual realm, which is totally different than the intellect. And the intellect is
Mhm.
more of this internal thing, also with the gut, big time with the gut.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our lower dantian. We cultivate that a lot in Qigong, Tai Chi, even in yogic practices. That grounding, rooting sense, getting more grounded can help you make better decisions. If you're
Mhm.
flighty or super spiritual or head in the clouds or whatever, you're actually not always making the best decisions. When you're grounded, when you feel really secure in your body, in your presence, you can think that brings in a lot more clarity. So I really like that in this version, the sage tends to the belly, not the eye.
Mhm.
The eyes don't show you the full picture at all. But there's this heavy reliance on it, right? This whole seeing is believing concept,
Yeah.
where that can almost be turned on its head and inverted to believing is seeing.
And that site is big for humanity. I mean, we over rely on sight. And it really messes with us. I mean, think about just like even like romantic things, right? Like people get wowed by what they see but they don't necessarily like really check in for deeper connections with someone, right?
Yeah.
Beyond sort of
Yeah, that
like
physical
that
attraction.
physical attraction with the eye, and also even just like some of those feelings that people describe in their body that they say is like, oh, I think I'm falling for them. Like, actually, I think you're dysregulated, right? But
Yeah.
like that's that
Yeah.
level
Yeah, that
of
person's a
like,
psycho. Watch out, man.
yeah, it's like actually I think your body's
You better learn
warning you,
what's about
but
that.
yeah, you've kind of miscued what your body is telling you, and I think that's what's nice about like just in general the Taoist practice, right? Is like getting in tune with the body helps you discern, right? Like the more you understand what things like feel like in your inner state, in
Yes.
the inner sensations in your body, that's like giving you this roadmap of what's for you, what's resonant and what's not resonant, or what's not for you in ways that like just won't work. And like the best metaphor I could think of is I have to do this with my daughter even sometimes where it's like I get that your tongue wants to eat this, but ask your belly,
Mm,
please. Because I mean, it was harder for me in the beginning because I'm like, oh, I know what I want. I want this and this, and this. But when I started being like, okay, I know my tongue wants that. What does my stomach want? I would get conflicting things, right? My tongue's like, we want this, and my stomach's like, hell to the nah, yo. Like, I do not want to eat that. So I think going
exactly.
back to the belly, it's that same idea of like, the more we build up our intuitive faculties, the more it'll give us warning that like, yeah, I get that shiny thing is exciting or it's got your system all your nerves all shot, but trust me on this, that ain't for you, bro.
Yeah. And you know, these major corporations and stuff, they know
Oh God.
marketing is psychology, essentially.
Yeah.
And so think about, we were talking about the media earlier and all this shiny stuff. Think about something like
Yeah.
Las Vegas. It's got all the bells and whistles and
Oh
shiny
yeah.
lights. Like, oh my God. But it's called Sin City at the same time.
Yeah.
And the media and movies and music for the
Oh
sense of
yeah.
hearing, it's all this stuff that can be very distracting. But the
Yep.
taste, that's a crazy one too, because
Yeah.
these companies, these food manufacturers know how to make things
Yep.
taste so good, man.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's the sugar thing, that's the food additive thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
all this stuff is so bad for our bodies, right?
Yeah.
This is a whole other conversation.
It really is, but
But
it
but
goes
it's
to
it's
this though.
related to this where
Yeah.
the five tastes blur tongues. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, I want to eat this because it tastes good, but your body doesn't want that or need that. You're
No.
not going to get the nutritional value from that. You're going to get that immediate fix.
Yep.
It's going to train, your brain is going to send the dopamine up and say, "Oh yeah, this is amazing," but then you might feel like crap later,
Yep.
or if this is a chronic situation, you'll end up having some issues down the line.
Yep.
But it's so easy to get fixated on those immediate sensations and stimuli. It's
Yeah, and
crazy.
the cravings that they can
The
produce. Like,
craving.
I mean, I think you and I, we have some common friends. We have a common friend once a joke that like they'll get that Big Mac flavor in their mouth sometimes out of nowhere, and it's like it's this immediate like desire that'll come on, right?
Mhm.
That nothing else can satisfy, and yet the body is rejecting it. Like I know my body never needs to have another Dorito in their entire life, and yet sometimes when I see that shiny blue or red bag, I'm kind of like, hmm.
Oh
What about
man.
tasting it?
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is like like you said, this is a whole other thing. But like from my understanding, some of the same people who made tobacco more addictive, once they got sued in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, they
Yep.
started
They
to do it.
moved into the food
They
industry.
moved into the food industry. Like
Yep.
that is
100%.
insanity.
100%.
And so they're probably the same ones making these freaking Dorito
And
spices that
again,
are
it's the
like,
psychology. They know
yeah,
this,
they
like
know.
they're learned in that human
Yep.
behavior space, and they
Yep.
know how to basically trick people into consuming,
Yep.
purchasing, and buying all
Yep.
the stuff that is not good for us, but it's good for their bottom line, and that's
Sure
all that
is.
matters. Yeah, it's the internal versus external battle. And in the last line of this, the sage always ignores that and chooses this. That to
Mm,
me, that feels very internal, external, right?
it does to
That
me too. Yeah.
versus this.
Yeah, it's like choosing like, yeah, what that tends to be telling us is what we need versus like what this is saying this is what you
Yeah,
actually need in this moment,
exactly.
right? Powerful.
Horses and breathtaking hunts make the minds wild and crazy.
Yeah.
Seems like a bit of a dated reference, I guess, but I get the
Well,
gist. Like, there's that rush of going on the hunt,
yeah.
right? This, oh yeah, let's go. You get this whole group of people to go on this hunt, and it's like you get so wrapped up in the event that you lose sight of what you're really doing. What are you really doing? You're going out to kill a life on a hunt,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I
You're
mean,
wrapped up in the
nowadays,
competition of it.
yes,
And that can be translated, yeah, nowadays to like the corporate world or the career or
the
working world,
rat race.
but
Yep.
the rat race, right? You got to
Yep.
go, go, go. It's cutthroat. And people
Yep.
use these words so willy-nilly. It's like, think about what you're saying. Cutthroat. Like you want
Yep.
to cut the competition's throat so that way
Yep.
you can win.
Yeah.
That it makes your mind wild and crazy.
Oh yeah. I mean, just go to any parking lot and you'll see
Yeah.
some of it where it's like, why are we all scrambling and like fighting each other over parking spaces to go to freaking Costco or whatever, or on Black Friday or these days, right, where
Oh.
there's sales, and you're just like, what are we out
And
here
it becomes
doing?
normalized and almost like satirized, and there's movies about it, and people, it's become entertainment because
Yeah,
it's so normalized, but it's so toxic. It's like
super
beyond
toxic.
toxic.
And our nervous systems are all shot,
Yeah,
and I
sure.
think there's few of us in the modern era who don't have some work to do around recalibrating the nervous system because of the
Oh yeah.
sensory overload
Oh
that
yeah.
we live in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And in fact, we just did a video recently on our channel, not with Adam, but with Natalie, my wife. We have another channel if you want to pop over and check it out about why you're so exhausted, the hidden environmental factors.
Mm,
And part of that is that sensory input that we're getting inundated with these so-called invisible forces that we don't even see with the eyes, but our
yeah,
body very much
they're
feels. And
processing.
it
Yeah.
penetrates into the organs, into the nervous system, and it creates fatigue and all this, a whole host of issues that we have to deal with chronically that become normalized and then kind of forgotten about because it
Mm,
is what it is. It's just life, but it's all part of the machine that is affecting the this.
hmm
And
hmm
it's pretty brutal. And when you really pull back that curtain and start looking at that, you can see it for what it is, and then you can start making a little bit more informed decisions. It's difficult to get around it completely because it is the world, and we all exist in it, unless you're a total hermit living in the woods or something. It's that's which is not super practical. Uh, it's hard to not get dragged along the way with it.
hmm
But there are tools. There are tools to
hmm
decompress your nervous system,
hmm
tools to eat healthy, bring in only
hmm
high vibrational stuff into our physical presence, into our energetic presence, into our spiritual presence, and to
hmm
try to minimize or reduce the stimuli. But the first step is having that awareness, right? And
Yeah.
that awareness of the senses are the external, feeling the external world in a very overt way, but there's
hmm
very covert ways of feeling things too. And that's in the subtle bodies. And when you start attuning yourself a little bit more, you can feel into that.
hmm
But just even reading something short like this is that's 7 lines, and it just speaks volumes.
It does, and it's something you can immediately practice
Yep.
just by noticing how certain sense objects make you feel in
Yep.
your body, where you feel it. Is it heat that you feel? Is it excitement? How does that feel? Like just being a researcher of your own bodily reactions to the things that you connect with and
Hmm.
people you connect with in life, and just being like studying it. And
Yeah.
that's where it all begins. And I feel like, even years of doing this, and I'm still like, oh, that's interesting. Oh,
Oh,
that
it's a
person said
constant
this, and I
learning.
felt this. And like, ooh, like, it becomes interesting. So over time, it can become more interesting than the stuff on the outside. It's like all this movement in the inner world that's happening, right? But it
Yep.
takes some time, but
And
it's
it never
definitely
really
doable.
ends either
Nah,
because
probably
everything
not.
around us changes and we
Yeah,
adapt or try to adapt.
yeah,
And it's a constant learning process and a
yeah,
constant figuring things out, adapting, realigning. There's no like getting there.
yeah,
You're always getting there. So,
yep. We're
all
always
right.
unfolding. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. It's great. I'd love to hear what you all have to say about this. If you have any insights, inputs, other things that we didn't discuss, drop a line in the comments. Please like and subscribe and share with anybody you think would be interested in any of this kind of stuff, which ultimately should be everybody, but hey, in time, in time. But hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.